Hi friends, Miss K here. Welcome back to my channel, Ghosty.
Yes, Queen! Slay! Slay!
So as promised in my last video, this video I'm going to give you a little personal story of when my family, my parents, my siblings and we moved into this home, the one that I'm currently living back with them at the moment. So it was about the start of 1990s. So I think about 1992, 1993, around there. So it was when I was 15. So I'm 48 now, today. So yeah, back when I was 15 years old, we moved into this home after living for many years with family, in my grandparents' home. Uncles, aunts, cousins all grew up together up until the time I turned 15. So it was the half year holidays. In South Africa we go like on a half yearly break for about a month. That's in like June, July. So it was during that holiday break that we moved into this home. And prior to moving in here, my parents had tenants. So the place was in quite a state. So the whole house had to be redone: floors, doors, walls repainted, windows redone. So yeah, there was like a lot of work that needed to be done before we moved in. However, we were extremely excited. Myself, my mom, my dad, because after years of being like, in cramped space, like having two rooms and just, battling it out space wise, we were going to each have our own bedrooms. Well, it's a 4-bedroom home. So me, as the firstborn, eldest, I got first choice and I got my own room. And then my younger siblings were to share. My brother, being very young at that time, he was like about 6, if I recall, when we moved into this house. No, he's 8 years younger than me. So, maybe 6 going on to 7, because October he would have turned 7 when we moved in here. So, yes. So he was like still 6 at the time. So because he was like much younger, he ended up sharing with my younger sister, who's 6 years younger than me. So they ended up sharing. My second sister, who's 2 years younger than me, she ended up getting the last room, this very room I'm in at the moment, which is now made into a study. So my youngest daughter basically uses this room like for her homework, her studies. She's in college. And then the front room, the middle room that you go through, is now her bedroom. So just a quick layout of the house, so you have an idea, with the story I'm about to tell you. So upstairs you enter into the kitchen, into like a scullery first, and then you enter into the house, into the kitchen. The kitchen is more to your left, like the entire area is the kitchen. To the right is the open plan dining room and lounge area. And straight ahead is a wall. And if you are straight in, facing this wall, to the right is the the lounge dining room area. To the left, going down, is the stairs. Like how you'd have like a normal passage. However, our house is stairs going down. So you go down a few stairs, and then it's the first bedroom, which was the room I chose, which was my bedroom. And opposite that was a bathroom. So that was more the reason for me choosing that room, because it was like a bigger room and it had the bathroom just opposite. And then you go down a few more stairs and it was another big room. That's my parents' room. And opposite them is a toilet. And then you go straight through into a third bedroom. And through that room into the last bedroom, which is this room, and this room also has an ensuite. But this is a smaller room. Normally the ensuite is the bigger room, but this is the smaller room. So yeah, so clever me, I chose the top room because of the size. It's much bigger and more spacious. Yeah, so to get to the story, we moved in, everyone was excited, happy. Yeah, and I mean, own rooms, own house. It was lovely. It was a beautiful time for the family. And I cannot pinpoint exactly when I started having the experiences, like hearing the sounds, etc. I cannot point exactly when, but this all happened around that time, like, after we moved and settled in. Once we got into our flow, I think, of settling into the home and making our routines, etc. So from memory, I know for a fact, but the first thing I did notice was sounds. We'd all be in bed at night sleeping, and then I would hear like people talking, and I always assumed it was the TV or the radio. And I remember always in the morning saying to my mom and dad, why you had the TV on, the radio on? I couldn't sleep, it's so late. And then they were like, no, they didn't have the TV on, they didn't have the radio on, so that's fine. That was okay. So that was the explanation they gave, and then I just said, okay, maybe I'm hearing stuff, it's just somewhere, someone. So it went on like that, and yeah, and I'd hear noise, and I remember clearly remembering, and like at one time clicked, like we've got these like little window vents above the doors, and I knew from like habit, whenever mom and dad had the TV on, the reflection would be like in the passage, that outside, so I could see the lights flashing, when the TV is on. But then I came to understand, hold on, I'm hearing noises, but I'm not seeing that. So maybe dad's got the radio on. So it's same routine. I'd say, you had the radio on, and then he's like, no radio. So yeah, so this is basically what happened. And then it became like a bit of like, I don't know, like I was just like maybe hearing things. It came to a point where I even opened the windows, the bedroom windows, to listen outside to hear. Maybe it was neighbors that were perhaps neighbors were talking, at night, and nothing. Then I went to, I used to wake up. I remember I got up and I walked into the passage. And when I get to the passage, I'm like looking in the dark upstairs, I'm looking downstairs. Everything's silent. Lights are all out. There's quiet. No one's awake. I can't hear no music, no radio, nothing. Then I'll be like, okay, go back in there. And it was weird because this was basically what I was hearing. I was constantly hearing sounds like a person talking. And it got so strange. So eventually, with the talking, slowly I also started hearing like someone calling my name. But nowadays we hear of it as mimic, right? So nowadays they say it's a mimic. But I used to hear like my mom, my dad, or one of my siblings calling me. And the scariest part, I think, was when I realized sometimes I'm home alone. Because I used to be home alone. We had that supermarket. My parents had that business. So quite often these kids used to be with them. I used to hear the voices, like their voices calling me, and only to realize, hold on, there's nobody here. Or if they were around, I'd ask like, yes, and then they'll be like, what? And then I'll be like, no, you called. And then they're like, no, I didn't call you. So this happened a lot. Then so the sounds progressed. Like I said, eventually it just came to be something that I lived with and accepted, because I'm hearing like talking, etc. but I'm not seeing anybody, I'm not hearing anybody. And funny enough, whenever I got out of bed and I walked into the passage and I looked around, I never saw anything. Then the footsteps started. So again, as it progressed, I started hearing footsteps. So literally like footsteps running up the stairs. Remember, I explained to you the house has stairs going down. So I'd be in my room, or I'd be in one of the other rooms watching TV in my parents' room, or in with my sister in her room talking, and I'd hear footsteps running up the stairs. So it happened quite often randomly, and whenever it happened, I'd just go quickly to go and have a peek and see, but I never saw anyone. And actually, in the beginning, when I first heard the footsteps, I shouted. I scolded at like my siblings, thinking that they were running up the stairs. And I remember shouting and saying to them, you know what, you're going to get hurt, you're going to fall down, so be careful. And yeah, so that continued. And again, same situation. When I used to shout them to say stop running, then they'd be like, no, nobody's running up the stairs. And it's happened a few times, like where even if they were in the lounge, parents or whoever, and I'm shouting, then even if my parents, they were like, no, but everyone's in their room, there's nobody running up the stairs. Or like maybe my brother and younger sister with them, but they were not running up the stairs, so nobody ran up the stairs. What you talking about? So it was a weird weird things that used to happen. So yeah, so basically there was another incident that it progressed into that, me hearing these footsteps on the stairs. And then I always heard it downstairs. Every single time it was downstairs, up until this one time that I heard it while I was in the kitchen. So that particular evening, I was home alone. Parents were at the business, the supermarket, with all my siblings. I was home alone. I was doing schoolwork, like homework. I don't think it was studying per se, maybe, but I was doing some schoolwork. And then I got hungry and I decided to go up to the kitchen to make myself a sandwich. So I did that. I made the sandwich. And I know clear as day, I still remember, I'm standing there facing, so I'm facing the unit, I'm making my sandwich. And so I'll give you the layout now. So me facing the unit, I've got the dining room, kitchen, open plan dining room, lounge area behind me. To my left is the kitchen door that's coming into the house, and to my right is the stairs that goes down into the house, right on that side. And and suddenly there was just silence. There was frozen, like everything went cold. I just felt cold. And then I heard the footsteps coming up the stairs. And the most amazing thing of all, the tiles we were having, even though the house was fairly new, the tiler had not done a very good job. And we were having problems where the tiles in the kitchen were getting loose. So the tiles were a bit wobbly, because it happened where we stepped and it cracked, in some places. So the tiles were funny. And it's so amazing because at that time, I actually felt the tile vibrate. I felt like a vibration on the tile. And holding the knife in my right hand, now about to cut my sandwich when I felt this. So I just turned to the right to the door. I don't know, it's like maybe instinct or whatever, you feel something. So I felt it like to the right, because I turned, and when I turned and I faced the door, when I looked at the door, there was the shape, how you say a shadow person, but a white, not black. So like a white shadow person just running out the door. I saw it with my own eyes. It just, this shape, this person like ran out the door. And I was so shocked because remember now, this is the first time in the house I've seen, because I always hear the footsteps, but I never saw anything. So I was so terrified. I woke up. I not woke up. I had the knife in my hand. I just turned. I walked to the door. I took the key, went outside, closed the door, locked the door, and I just sat outside in the scullery area with my hands up on the chair, my feet up on the chair, and my hands around my legs like this, with the knife in my hand, and I'm like rocking, and I was so terrified. And I remember just sitting like that the entire night. So I don't know how long it was until my parents came home, and then when they arrived home, my mom, I woke up to open the gate for them to come in, and then my mom said to me, "You look like, what happened? You look like you saw a ghost." And I said to my mom, "Mom, I think I did." So I explained to her what happened, and she was like, "Oh, okay." And then I remember the guru coming home. He did come through. He blessed me. He just said, like, we just like gifted that we can see these things. And he explained to my mom, like, children often see this. I mean, I was like 15, I was like quite, not like, like a little 5, 6, like my brother, for example, because they never really experienced anything directly. But yeah, so yeah, I think he gave me some ashes, and then he said, I must read the Hanuman Chalisa, which I did. I even memorized it. So yeah, so that's what happened there. And then that was it for the time being, but it still continued. And then afterward, a while later, I don't know exactly how long, my siblings, we four, were home alone. So I was with my sister in this room here. Her bed used to be against the wall here opposite me, and we were sitting there chilling, chatting. And then the next thing, my two younger siblings started shouting from my parents' room that we must come through quickly and see this advert that they wanted to show us, that, a funny advert. So we rushed through, remember now, through the middle room to my parents' room. And now when we went in, I was in front. So I went in, and now when you're in the bedroom, right, now looking to my right is the TV cabinet is behind the door. So the door opened flush onto the TV cabinet, right, going into my parents' room. So the door is like this. So when we rushed in, my sister pushed the door. So the door was pushed a bit. It wasn't like closed completely, just closed, like pushed slightly. And so my sister is in front of me. The door's in front of her, that side. The TV is there. So we watching, so we had a laugh, checked the advert, and then we like sharp. So my sister and I turned or moved to go out the door. So she went to reach for the door handle to open the door and at that moment I heard the footsteps again. And when I heard the footsteps, it's like maybe my protective instincts, for my younger siblings. I pulled the door open. I grabbed my sister. I pulled my sister behind me, and I pulled the door open, and I rushed out to go and see, and there was nothing. And then when I turned around, I saw my sister looking at me like, like shocked. So then I apologized. I said, "I'm sorry, did I hurt you? I'm sorry," and whatnot, right? And then we both came into her room. And then only when we got into her room, she said to me, "I heard it too." So then I was like, okay, so I'm not going loony. Like, now somebody else heard it too. And look, I was also a bit irritated. I actually was like fighting with this, whatever it was, and challenging it and saying to it, "Look, you don't, you mess with me, right? But you leave my sisters, my brothers out of it. You don't go there." I said, "Don't go there." So that day when my parents returned from the shop, we both went into the room, and then my sister said to my mom, "Mama also heard the footsteps, what Kamni's been talking about all the time." So then I remember thereafter, mom and dad did it like a prayer. They had people come to cleanse the house, and I remember we had salt water baths. We smoked the house, put salt everywhere, burnt luban, and did all those normal ritual things people tell you to do for that. And yeah, so basically they were talking that it was like a sort of a human spirit, just like maybe some lost soul whose maybe last rites maybe were not performed, something to that effect, because it never felt malevolent, sorry, yeah, like it never felt malicious or anything like it wanted to hurt. It was more like it was trying to get their attention for help, to cross over perhaps, that's what I felt. The one thing I do have, like I mean, like another thing that it made me wonder, like it was a white shadow as well. It wasn't black, it was white. So it was like a shadow person, like I saw in our previous home, like at my grandparents' house, etc. I did see like these shadow people. It was like just black shapes. You can't make out any facial features or color clothes or what type of shirt or whatever, but you could just see like a black shape. So again, I didn't know, I always saw these, and then later on as I grow older, watching these stories and watching all these other paranormal ghost hunters, etc. I watched a lot of them. I think I watched maybe mostly all of them because I've always been fascinated because of my personal experiences. It's not something taboo for me, it's something that I experience. So I watch these videos in order to sort of just to get some kind of idea, and it was good because I managed to put like words to things that I had seen, like for example the shadow people, the mimics, all these entities, like later on. But anyway, so there we go, guys. So that's my one of my personal stories, and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the next video. Hopefully by the time I do my next video I will get some stories come in. So let's see how it goes. If the stories come in, I can give you read out other individual stories. Otherwise I'll go to doing another one of my videos, but like I said, intermittently I'll keep on giving you little teasers, like tidbits of my personal experience. So remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and my email is kalichararankamni@gmail.com. KALICHARANKAMNI@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.